new board. I told you about the concept that that if you compare like how Java and JavaScript in both the languages, how functions work is, in Java you cannot create a function which can accept a function as an argument, or you cannot return a function form, right? We talked about it yesterday, right? So there are three things, right? There are three things which you have to understand. Uh, Let me just write JavaScript first, and this side I will write Java. Okay. So in JavaScript, right, what we just saw is that you can create a variable, const, let's say sum, right, and you can assign a function to it, right? Whether you do it, let's say s1, whether you do it this way, this will also work, right? Or if you want to create an anonymous function, this will also work, right? I just showed this yesterday, right? That you can create a function and assign to a variable. So this is like, let me write it here: assign a function to a variable, right? You cannot do this in Java. I don't think you can do it in Java, right? You cannot create a variable called int a, right? And then you can assign a function, entire function to it. Let's say public void and all that, right? You can't do this, right? This is not possible there in Java. So this is like something unique, right? So assigning a function to a variable. This is one thing. Second thing I told you is that in JavaScript, what you can do is, let's say, let me create one function, right? Let me get a very small function. I'll create a function, okay, function, print name, let's say, and I will take, let's say, I don't take any input, right? And let's say I print console.log and the name, right? Let's say FL. Okay, so this is one function here, right? This is one function. What I can do is I can create one more function. Let's say function hello world, right? Let's say hello world, right? Print hello world, something like this. So here, right, what I can do is I can take the input, right? Let's say okay, let me take input here also. Let's say name here, right? So I will do what? I will just print name here, right? Something like this. What I'm doing is I am saying I will accept one parameter here of let's say uh, the keyword, right? Any keyword, right? I will accept one keyword, right? And then I am saying I will also accept one function. Okay, so what I'm saying is I will, let me give it any name, right? Anyhow, you don't have to specify data type of the variable, right? Over here, I'm not saying what kind of data type, what kind of variable this is it int, is it number, string, whatever it is, right? Similarly, if I have to pass a function also, right, I don't have to specify, right? I can just say, I can just call this way, right? I can just define it and it will work. uh, Although I will, let's see it on the board, and I think that will make more sense. But what I'm trying to say here is that you can pass one function as a argument to another function. Okay, this is what I'm saying, that you can pass this entire function print name, right, over here. So it's like you're passing the entire function, right, from, like, this is a separate function into the argument of another function. Did I miss anything? No, Tejasvi, I just recapped what we learned yesterday, right? And now we're talking about the similar stuff about what we discussed in the end yesterday, right? I was telling you like how different it is from Java, right?
Okay, okay, sure.
We're currently talking about higher order functions. Okay, the topic name is higher order functions.
Okay, okay.
Okay, okay. Again, for everyone, right? Whatever I'm telling you now, right? The first concept is this: assign a function to a variable. That you can create a function and assign to a variable. This is one thing. Second thing is that you can pass a function as an argument to another function, right? And the third point is that you can return a function from a function. Return a function from a function. So in a way, if you understand, right, your function, here, right, whether this, right, whether this here, right, or whether the function which is written from a function, right? If you see in JavaScript, function are behaving like variables. You can pass them as an argument. You can return them from a function, and you can assign it to another variable, right? So if a language, right, if a language supports a function to behave like this, we say that language supports higher order functions. Okay, so to understand what is a higher order function concept, the concept says if right in a language you can do all these three things right like this, then you will say that that language supports higher order functions, right? And JavaScript is one such language which supports all this. Okay, we will see all of this, right? We have already seen this part, right? Yesterday, we are more interested to understand these two, right? Like how can we pass it as an argument and how can we return a function from a function. But if you would compare to Java, right, I'm sure you will realize you can't do any of this right in Java. Okay, we'll see the code for today, right? I'll try to show you the code also for Java also, just to make the difference. But let's first focus on the JavaScript part. Okay, so this is day 7, and let me create one function now. Let me think if I can make some meaningful functions. Okay, let's create, right. Let me say that I have a need that I want to create a calculate function. Okay, so I'm creating a function, calculate function, calculate, and what I'll do is I'll provide two inputs to it so that it can perform some operation. So I will say a comma b, right, and then let's say this is the function, right? Anything wrong with the function right now? No, right? This is the usual function we create like in any way, right? And this is what type of function? Anyone? What is the name of this function type? I mean, function declaration, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So this is what I've done here. Okay. Let me say that. See, I want to have right within this calculate. I want to have, let's say, the capability of. So what I'm doing here is this. Let me write here, right? So what I intend to have is that this function, right, will accept two inputs like this, right? Two variables, right? Two numbers, let's say, two numbers, and it will perform calculation. But what type of calculation? It could be, let me write here, it could be doing a sum, it could be doing a minus, it could be doing a divide, and it could be doing a multiply, right? Multiply. Okay. So here, right, if I have to, I mean, right, if you see this here, right, I'm just providing two inputs, right? I mean, a function is meant to do one thing, right? Not all the things together. So, okay, let me create all these things, right? Sum, minus, divide, and multiply. Let me create functions for them. So I'll say function sum. Here it will take a and b, and it will do what? It will say, let it return, right? Let it return a plus b. Anything wrong with this function? No, right? Everyone understands this part? I hope yes, right? So
Yes,
let
yes.
me create one more function. Let's say minus also a comma b, and I will say return. Okay, Chetan, return a minus b. Okay, and the third function, let's say, would be function divide. It would be a comma b, and I will do what? I will say return a divide b. And the last one is the multiply part. Function multiply a comma b, right? Okay, and I will say return a into b. Okay, now tell me one thing, right? What I'm saying here is that we're talking about higher order functions, right? So let me introduce now that concept, right? Higher order functions, order function, right? So first of all, the first thing which I told you was like you can create, oh sorry, you can create what? You can assign a function to a variable, right? Let me do it for some part, right? So what I'll do here is, see here, okay, let me do it for here only, right? What I'm saying is you can do something like this. You can say const, and you will say a result equals to this. You can see, right? No issues, right? You can just assign a function the whatever logic you want to write inside this, and you can assign it to a variable. So this is first part, right? That you can do something like this, assign a function to a variable, right? You can't do this in Java, right? I mean, I don't want. Should I open the prompt and show you? But I hope, right, people who are aware about Java, they know that this you can't do this, right, in Java. Okay. Okay. So this is the first thing, right? In the higher order functions concept, I told you there are three things. One thing is this. The second thing is, let me just remove this now. Okay. Let me just comment this out. I don't want to mix up two things together. So the second thing is that you can pass one function as argument into another function. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll have this function, right? We have this function. So what I will do here is I will just simply say fn, right? Whatever variable you want to give, right? I am saying fn. You can say complete thing, right? You could give Akhil here, whatever name you're giving, right? You can do that. Now, what I would like to do here is that I will say, okay, I have to, okay, let's say someone wants to call this calculate method, right? Someone wants to do that. So what they will do? Let's talk about this sum only, right? So what they will do is, I mean the calculate part. If I want to call this method, right, what I will do is I'll say calculate, and let's say this will return something, right? So this will do something. It will return a value. So I will say const result equals to calculate, and I will provide some value. So I'm saying 2 comma 3, right? And now, but you can see, right? Okay, first of all, you can see I'm accepting one more parameter, and see what I will do now. You see, I am giving a function, right? I'm giving a function here, right? Like this. I'm giving a function here, right? You can see I'm create a function and assign that function over here. So what will happen here is A will receive 2, B will receive 3, and this function, right, will receive this entire thing, right? Whatever we're doing here. Now what I will do here is, although I'm passing the function, right, over here, I'm giving it is something like this, that I'm doing something like this. See here. It is like, let me create it like in different way. So what I'll do is I'll call const sum equals to this, right? So let's understand that what we are doing is we are doing something like this. Okay, you can see even this is working, right? You can directly give a function here, but you will not understand this part, so I'm not writing in this way. So just see, I'm just saying sum here, right? Now you can see this is a function, right? This is a function, and I'm passing this function as an argument to another function. Okay, so try to understand what is fn now. Fn is something like this, right? But you're receiving a function, but you're not using it. Okay, so let me say this one, right? That let's say what will happen here is, let's say I want to make use of this, right? And I know that I will be passing some there, right? And this can accept two inputs, right? A and B. So if you want to make use of it, what I will do? If I want to call some method, what should I do? I should do what? I need to pass two inputs to it, right? So that it can work. What are those two parameters? A and B. A comma B. Right? This is what you're calling that function, right? You're calling that function. Whatever you received as an input, right? You're invoking it, right? You're calling that function by, because you're doing it this way, right? Now what this will do? This you're passing which function? You're passing some, right? So what will happen is, see here, right? A received 2, B received 3, function received this entire thing, and now you're calling function AB, right? So A will receive what? 2, and this will receive what? 3. So 2 and 3 are going there. It will do that sum part, right? A plus B, and it will return. It will return a value. So what I can do is I can even return the value, right? If I want, let's say return. Or let me not complicate this. Let's say result. Let's say result equals to this, right? Oh, I am already doing result. So okay, let it be. I'll say return here. Okay, so now tell me, if I run my code now, right? If I run my code now, which is this only these three lines right now, right? This minus and all, it does not have any meaning right now. but this is the code which I ran, which I've written. Now tell me, if I run this now, right, what would be my output?
Nothing. You're not printing
Nothing.
anything.
Huh.
Ah, yes, you're right.
Console
That is
log.
that is one mistake which I'm doing. Okay, so let me just say console.log. Calculated value is calculated value is okay. String templates, right? Even I need to get into habit of it because again I work on Java a lot. So I'll say dollar result. Okay. So now tell me, if I if I run this now, what will be my output?
5.
Okay, 5, right? Right, everyone? Okay, let me first run it to see like whether it is correct or am I doing something wrong. Let me run this. So this is day 7 and we are here. No, it is still running the older one. Okay, let me just search the context. You can see, right? Calculated value is 5. Let me close this and run it again. It is taking up from cache, I believe. Okay, you can see, right? Calculated value is 5. Now, how many of you understood this and how many of you have the query, right? I'm sure there are a lot of people who might have query. Yeah, please.
So here, like in we have given the whatever the output of calculate method to the result, right? And in the argument also we are sending the function sum.
Mm-hmm.
So here in that in the calculate function, we again have to call that function, right? Particular function to pass the value of a and b.
That is what is required if you want to use a function, right?
Yes.
So
Means
yes,
it will not invoke directly. We have to pass that value, right?
okay, yes, you're absolutely correct on this, and you have to understand why, because functions are not called by themselves, right? They need to
Mm-hmm.
be called. And how will it know that, let's say you were passing 5, 6 parameters here,
Uh-huh.
C, D, E, and all, right? How would it know what value to give to Fn? Because it accepts only two inputs, A and B,
Right.
right? So what value should be provided to it, right? It needs to know.
Oh,
So the point here is that you have to invoke it, okay?
right.
You have to invoke it, right? So this is how you're passing a function into another function as an argument and consuming it and calling it whenever I feel like,
Okay. Okay. Got
right?
it. Yes. Yes.
But again, what we have to take, I mean, what we have to learn from here is that in JavaScript, the functions are treated like variables. You are passing a function as if it was a variable, right?
Right. Yes.
So if I this is the function expression, right? Even if I would have done this part, right? Uh, Right? If I do this part, right? Let me run this. I think this will also return the same result. I hopefully you can see, right? The actual result is 5. So whether you use function declaration or function expression, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does not make a difference. It is just different way of writing a function. Even I can write a let's say this one, right? I can say const sum
Const.
equals to an arrow function.
Yes. Arrow function.
I can even run this y, right? And this will return me the same result. See, right?
Yes.
Now, yeah, Hassan, please.
Hi, Akhil. I have a question. Okay, so for the in the first function, how why did you the parameters, right? Fn. So how why like you return Fn and you have to put that in the bracket for A and B.
Okay,
This part
okay.
I did not get.
Okay. I understand part. Okay, don't worry. I understand that it should be an issue. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me try to do it over here, right? Let me get a new board. I think it will be much more easier to understand from this part. Okay, come on.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Harsha,
So
please.
like, so like what Hassan asked, I want to answer that, and just correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
So,
please, please.
what we are doing is like we passed some. So, in calculate function, we are passing three parameters a, b, and fn. So when we are calling assigning result equals to calculate. So when we pass sum there, then that sum is allocated to that function fn variable, and that is now turned into a function. Now type of that is function, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, okay. That's mhm.
I'm not sure, like, just correct me, sir. I'm just,
No, you're saying correctly. It's a type of function, right? But again, the next point is continue your answer. Harsh.
I mean, so yeah, like, so when we, if we have to use fn, then we have to also pass the two variables which we are passing in some value.
Right. I mean, okay. I'm sure.
uh, I'm clear
No
actually.
problem.
I think, yeah, I'm clear because the sum is taking two parameters,
Right.
right? So that
Right.
means you have to be able to pass its parameter value. So
Right.
that means I see. Okay, I think I'm
Right.
clear now. Yes.
Okay. But still, right? I'm sure people will have some doubts. So let me do one thing. I'll just copy paste this.
If you don't provide if you don't provide any parameter, for the return, so
Mhm.
what might that produce? Was so for the first return, right? Like,
If you don't
so
do it right, it will just do its job, right? It will just call the function, right, which is sum, right, and it will do a and b. You're returning a value, but you're not catching it, so it will be like floating in the air, not being consumed. It will have no impact. It's just that, but
Mhm.
it was called, it did its part. It's just you who is not consuming it,
Okay.
right? Okay, so that is how it will work. Anand, yes, please ask your query.
Uh, two questions. First one is the location to declare the sum function can be anywhere in the whole class. Like, does there is there any rule regarding that? Like, can I write const sum equals to this below the console.log statement as well?
Over here now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so again, there's a
Akhil,
concept of, yeah,
I
Shailesh,
just
please.
tried what Anant is asking. I just tried it, so it is
Uh,
not working. So ideally, it should be above where you are like running. So if you put it like below, it will not work.
okay. Again, so does someone know the reason for this? Let me try it. Let me try it first of all. Let's see. So we are returning here, and it should be getting okay. Let me run this. You got what? You got here some, right? That okay. Cannot access some before invalidation. Okay. Let me do one thing. Let me do one thing, right? Let me now try this one also. Everyone, right? Whoever is trying, please try this part also. Function sum this, right? Let's clean this up and let's run this. I got the value. Now I'm sure, right? People who, I mean, Shalish, right? Now tell me, like, why this time it worked and why it did not work. I'm very curious, right? I'm sure what Anant asked, right, is a very perfect question, right? I'm not sure, like, why Anant asked it. Did he really read about JavaScript or not? But what he asked is absolutely correct. But I do not want it to explain this till we cover the next week's chapter. But still, you asked it, so I'm showing you. But you can see, right, the way we wrote earlier, that was not working, but the function declaration is working. Right?
My guess
So
would be we are
is it,
not catching the value. We are just
No,
like earlier we were catching the value and
no,
using
no,
that.
no,
is it,
no, no, no,
is
no,
it,
no. You were doing this, right? You were not catching any value. You were doing something like this. You were saying this, just a different way of writing a function, right?
Yeah,
This is what you
yeah,
were doing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
where are you getting a
Akhil,
value?
Akhil, is
so
it
is it
because of
related to
the way
asynchronous behavior of JavaScript?
No, the answer is not here. There is no
the way we
asynchronous
use
operation right
the
now.
the way we use the variable declaration const, let, and var because of the hosting? I suppose you're talking about. Yeah, I
Absolutely
know.
correct, right? The answer is around hoisting, right? The answer is hoisting, but again, since I have not explained hoisting, so you will not understand this. But it is very good to point out this behavior here, right? Which we did. Great, right?
What is it? Can you again repeat? What behavior?
The answer is I'm writing the word hoisting.
Okay,
Okay,
completely new to me.
right? So this is a concept which we have to learn in JavaScript, right? And this is the answer to a lot of our curious questions, right, which we have in JavaScript. Okay, so again, I would suggest please wait for a few more days. We are reaching there, and you will get all your this kind of crazy answers, right? We'll receive, right? But you can see I just showed you, right? If I run it this way, right, you will not get the, it will not work, right? You can see the function expression, right? And especially this arrow function is not working, right? But if I change this to a function declaration, it starts working. So there are a lot of rules, right, around JavaScript, which we have to understand and remember. Okay, but it has to come with conceptual understanding also. Okay, so that's why it will come, right? It will, you will be able to understand. But you can see this time it will work. You see, it works, right? There is no difference in creating a function, right? You created that function, you're creating this function. You're still creating a function only, but the behavior is very different. Okay, right. I think for today, let it be this one, right? I'll explain in depth once we start discussing hosting. We have to come back on the let constant where when we discuss that, and we have to discuss about these functions also. There is a concept of this keyword, which is also very essential, which we have not discussed. We will discuss. We will be discussing in future. So there are a lot of other things, right, which are pending. Okay, Anand, we are good, right?
Yeah, we are good. But there was one more question I wish.
Yeah, please, please, please.
So the second question is, what if I pass the sum function with parameters when I am calling the calculate method? Can I do that?
Okay. Yeah, you can do anything, right? You can do this. Let's say you're saying 2 and 3, right? You still
Yeah,
you will do
yeah,
this only.
yeah.
You will do this, right? So what do you think will happen here? What are you doing? You're calling a function.
I'm calling the function.
You're calling a function, and what will get returned here? The int value, right? Which is a plus b. So you will get what? 5 here, right? You're
5.
receiving 5 here, and you're calling, and you're making a mistake here.
Yeah,
You're doing something like this: 5 a comma b, right? Which is 2 comma 3. What does it mean? Nothing, right? What does this mean? It means nothing, right? 5 is not a function, right? It's a
correct.
number. So can you do this on a 5? You do this. You We wrote this expecting that it's a function, right? Now it's not a function. It's a number which you're receiving, because once this gets evaluated, you will get what? 5.
Okay, and does this implies that I will get a runtime error or maybe a compilation error in this case if I try doing this?
You can see it is not. There is no compilation issue here, right?
Yeah, compilation is
Currently,
not.
currently, at least the Visual Studio Code is not telling you about this issue, right? That okay, what kind of data you're providing, because JavaScript does not care about your data type. It will only be assessed during once things you start running the thing, right, at the runtime. So if I run it this way, right, let's see what is the result. Okay, first of all, it will not work because let me put it up. Okay, let's see what is the result. Right, you got the error. Fn is not a function. Why you got fn not a function? Because you're giving 5 here, right? It is transmitting into a 5, so it is like you're giving 5 here, right? Agree or not, Anand?
This point I agree. Yes, it got evaluated to 5 and 5 doesn't means anything to the sum function.
No, see, what you're doing here is you were saying that I can do this part, right? 2 comma 3, right? You were saying this part,
Yes, yes.
right? So try to understand. If I, okay, tell me if I do this thing, let me cut it out and create a variable, let's say const, and let's say out equals to this, and I put here out, right? The way I was writing earlier, like directly this, or I'm writing out, is it making a difference? No, right?
No.
It is not making a difference whether you do this here or you write out. You're doing the same stuff, right? Correct. What does out will have? Tell me, what will out have as a value? You're calling a function here, right? So once the function is called, it will get evaluated. Whatever result it will give you, right, you will have it, and you're storing into out, right? Or if you're not storing and you're complete and you're using as is, right, the same rules applies here. This will get called, it will get evaluated. Whatever the result is, you will get here. What is the result of this method calling? 5, right?
Right.
So you're getting 5 here. So just try to understand, you're passing 5 here. And now you're calling this, now you're calling that method now, right? This method here, calculate. And you had to give 3 inputs, A, B, and Fn. A is receiving 2, B is receiving 3, Fn is receiving 5. When you receive here, right, you're trying to call, you're thinking that you're passing a function. You're not passing a function. You're giving a number.
The implementation, like the whole body, that sum a b return a b is not there. It is kind of replaced by value 5.
Yes, it is not a function anymore, right? So if it is not a function, how can you call it like a function?
Right. Okay.
That's why it is saying fn is not a function.
Okay. And when we are again calling the fn with return statement, at that time we are basically providing the whole implementation on the line 23. Like represent fn as the some function, and with these values a and b.
You understand this here? You're calling just the function here, right? And whatever the result is, you're storing into a value and then returning it. So instead of writing it this way, right, I could directly write return also, right? It's just a shortcut, right?
Correct.
So I hope you're getting your answers, right?
Right.
The point here is it expects to have a function. Why? Because you're treating, in the logic of the function, you're treating it like a function, right? That you're calling it. But what are you giving as an input? You're giving a number, right? You're giving a number here, 5. So once it receives 5, can it be called like a function? No, right? Because it's a number. It's not a function. Right, Anand?
Agreed.
Okay, great. Does anyone has any question on this part which Anand was asking?
Can I have a question? So I didn't understand the 2 and 3, right? So it's going, you passing these 2 and 3 as a parameter, right? As an argument to that function,
Let me do one thing.
right?
Let me just complete this discussion, right, which I was showing. I think you will get your answer. Just give me 5 more minutes, okay? I know what I'm trying to ask. Just give me one thing. Let me write it here. Const sum equals to this part, and let's not do this, and let me remove it. And I was calling sum here, right? So let me just copy this and bring it here. Right now, let me now take a pen. And can I have a different color here? I believe I can. Let me just try smart drawing eraser. This is what. Okay, this is a different color. Yes. Okay, great. I have a different color. Now see here, right? This is your function. This is your original function which you created, right, everyone? This is the first thing, right? You created a function here, right? Thinking that I want to have a generic function which is calculate. I will give 2 parameters to it, which would be of, let's say, see, in JavaScript, you can't define data type, right? But you know what you're passing here, right? What is the intention you're providing with it? So I know that I'll be providing numbers here, num and num. Okay, I need to have a small grip. I think this should fine. Okay, so num and num, right? Num and num. So, and this one, right? You can call it as anything, right? I could write Akhil also here, right? It's just a variable name, right? I could write Akhil also. It's a variable name. So, but I know that what I have an intention for this is that whenever I will be calling this method, right, which I'm doing here, right, you can see I'm calling the method, right? When I'll be calling it, I will make sure that I am providing a function to it, right? A function, right? To this when I will be invoking the method. So this would be a function. You can see I'm doing the same stuff, right? When I'm saying calculate 2, 3, and some here, right? So 2 is getting placed here, right? In the place of A, right? So you are receiving 2 here. In the place of B, you're receiving what? You're receiving 3, right? So 3 is coming here. And what are you receiving in Fn? This part, right? The sum part. Now, what is sum? What are you receiving here? It is like, let me write in this way also, right? If someone is getting confused with this, just understand this way, right? Function sum A comma B, and I'm saying return A plus B, right? I'm doing this part. Okay, I'm doing this part here. Let's forget this part, right? If someone is not understanding this part, you can see, right? I'm saying sum. So what will happen here is it's like you're passing this entire function here only. Okay, you're calling like function sum and all this, right? Or if someone is able to understand this, you are somehow passing this part over here, right? So it is like you're calling something like this: calculate 2, comma 3, and then you're passing a, comma b, arrow, and you're passing return a plus b, right? This is your, this got completed, and this is the body of, this is the this bracket, right? So this is how you're calling the calculate method, right? 2 here, 3 here, and this is, and this entire thing is for the sum function, right? I can just provide sum, or I can directly place the body and the everything right over here itself. First of all, does we understand this part? Does anyone have any query on this? Hasan, we are okay, right?
Yes, yes, we're good.
Right, we understand this part. Okay, now
Hmm.
try to understand what will happen now. So A received the 2, B received 3, and Fn received this thing, right? This entire thing. So what will happen here? See, again, what will happening here is, it is saying, forget about written statement, right? Just see this part. What are you doing here? You're saying Fn A, comma B, right? So it is like you're calling this function, right? Whatever you're receiving. I'm receiving sum, right? And this is the log, this is the body which I receive. So what it will do is, it is like something like this. You're doing something like this. So A was 2, right? So you're saying 2, comma 3, right? You received this entire thing, so you're calling something like this. Return A plus B, right? So which is 2 plus 3. So what will happen here is, this function is getting called, okay? And what you're getting is, out of this, once this function gets evaluated, right, you will receive what? 5, right? You received 5, and that 5 value will sit here, right, instead of this part, right, after the evaluation. And then you're returning what? Return 5, right? And that's why when someone is consuming the, here, right, you can see, whenever someone calls this method, right, 2, 3, and sum, like here, right? So result will hold what? 5, because that is the value you're returning from here. So 5 will get set here only, right, in the result part. Any query on anyone? Anand, I'm coming to you, but does everyone understand this part?
Okay, so I mean, if I have to summarize, like, I mean, what's going on here? So that means 2 and 3 is doing, you have a separate function that is doing the calculation,
Right.
and that is being passed as an argument
Absolutely correct.
to the function that it would return it. Otherwise, it not would not have that kind of, you would not, you are not
No,
going to have this.
no, you can avoid it even returning, right? Let's say there is no purpose of returning it. Let's say I don't have a purpose, right? Let's say I just want to consume it. So what I can do is, there is no need for me
Who is the consumer here? I mean, if you,
here, right, at
I
line
mean,
number 32.
okay.
Line number 32 is the consumer of this method here. You can see, right? Because
Mhm,
here I am making that call to call that function,
mhm.
right? And see, again, since I am not returning anything, I can just avoid this, right? I can just even avoid this. I can just call this, right?
Right.
And what I can do here is, maybe I call this thing, right? And maybe I will store it into a value, let's say A, sorry, not A, result like this, right? And I will do what? Let's say I will just, maybe, let's say I will leave it like this, right? So it will do something, but we will not get to know like what it really do. That's why at least I will do something like this, right? I'm not returning, but I can print the output, right? I can say output is this part, right? So what I'll get, we'll just do this part, right? Try to understand what is f and ab is happening is, it is somehow it is calling this line, right? When this runs, right, it is calling this here, right, this part. And what you're getting is, a receives 2, b receives 3, and it evaluates, and then, right, you're assigning it to a variable. The output of this function you're assigning to rest, and that's what I'm printing here, right? So there is no compulsion on you that you have to return something. It's based on your context and your needs. Okay, yeah, Hasan, please continue your question. I think I cut you down. Sorry. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I got this. So this being saved into the variable of res, right?
Yes.
And then, this is getting printed out. Okay.
Right. And I was just doing a shortcut, right? There was no need for me to store it into a variable. I just wanted to consume it, right, outside the function, right, like here. so that I can print it outside, right? That's why I was returning from it.
Mhm.
Okay. Try to understand. Return is nothing, right? Return means that you want to just give something back, right, to the consumer who made the call. That's it. Okay.
Again,
Yeah,
can
Anand, please. Yeah, please. Yeah.
yeah,
Ask your query.
yeah. So I completely understood the implementation. I just have one question that can I replace the FN keyword with something with anything else like you said, uh, or does it mandates me to use that word only?
No, you can type Akhil here.
No, no. My question was like if I put FN in the counsels and in the line number 23,
Uh,
if I keep it this way, this will this work or this won't? This won't.
okay. Now you tell me, will this work or not? Let's do it line by line. Why will you think it will work? Tell me this. I mean, let's say, right? Let's take both the cases. Why you think it works, and let's say why you think it will not work. Let's understand. So let's first understand like why it will work. Tell me. Do you know what is Achilles here, right? Inside this function? Do you know what Achilles?
Mhm. No.
You don't know, right? But
No.
okay, but at least from the line which you've written here, you are getting to know some sense that this must be a function,
Hmm.
right? Because you're passing the variables like this, right? And you
Mhm.
generally do it while calling a function only. You give a
Correct.
bracket and you provide the inputs. But do you
Mhm.
see any variable, right? See, you have to understand there is some scoping rule, although we have not discussed them right now. Local, global, and all that, right? Block scope. But at least I am sure that since we almost all of us are coming from Java background, we understand if you are creating a function, right, over here, right? At least it will try to search Akhil, right? And try to understand, do I have a function called Akhil here? Do you see a function here in the scope of this function? You
No.
don't, right? You don't, right? But if I so the answer to your query is it will not work, right? It will ask, what is Akhil? It does not know, right? Akhil has to be a function. If it is
Mhm.
not, it needs to it needs to live here, right? Within the scope of the function. It does not exist. Right? Now, if I would have done FNA, right? Now the same question will come, okay, what is FN? But this time it has an answer because it
Hmm.
knows that you are receiving it as an input from the argument, right? From
Mhm.
whoever will make a invocation for it, right? And it has a
Yeah.
reference to it. Okay.
Okay. Correct.
Okay, great.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Okay. Anyone else? See, this is the most crucial part, right, of our journey of JavaScript because once we understand these things, right, we are opening the doors for asynchronous operations. So please understand this very well. Okay, right now, yeah, please. Please, yeah, please ask.
So the takeaway from this concept is that with the function declaration, we can achieve this, right? Means we can pass our function as a variable, but with the function expression, it we can't assign the function as a variable.
No, this is not the takeaway from this. The takeaway
Okay.
is that you can pass a function into another function. Okay,
Okay.
you in both the things, in both the ways, right? Function
Hmm.
declaration or function expression, this is achievable, right?
Hmm.
It's just that if you were using function expression, right?
Hmm.
In that case, right, you will have to make sure that before consuming that function, it is declared. Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, if I do this part, right, see here, right, it will still work. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? Okay, I'm not returning this. Okay, just a second. Right, so let me run this again. Okay, you can see, right, output is 5. It works, right?
Hmm.
And if
Yeah.
I place it on the up again, right, this is not the key takeaway because I did not want to explain this right now. I
Hmm.
want to explain this with the hoisting concept, but since Anant asked me, I'm answering this. So if I place it I mean, in the above this usage also, right, it works. But
Hmm.
this is not true for the function expression. If I would have written something like
Con
constant const
some
sum and this, right,
arrow function.
arrow
Arrow.
function, right, like this,
Uh,
And if I run it now, it will not work. It will say it is not declared. It does not know what sum is. You can see, right? It is saying cannot access sum before initialization.
Okay, and if we put that before the calculate part.
It will work. It will work.
Okay.
And the concept behind all this is hoisting, right? Which I was mentioning.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. Yes, yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
no worries. But again, that is not the key takeaway, right? The key takeaway is you
No,
can pass a
I
function
want
into
to
another
point
function.
out that that concept, like I didn't get that previously. That's why.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Okay, something. Uh, just a second. Okay, okay. Now let's. Okay, if no other query, right? Let me just show you one more thing, right? The power of passing a function into another function, right? You see, this was a calculate function, right? And I am I, I did not want it to have the power of defining what this calculate function will do. I'm leaving it to the consumer of my method, right? So here you can see what I'm doing here is I was leaving it to the user, right? Whether they want to sum, right? Let me remove it from here. And now instead of doing the sum, I will do the minus. See here, right? Now see the power of these functions part, right? Instead of sum, I will just say minus and it will do minus. You see? It did minus. If I provide divide, it will divide. It divided, right? If I multiply, it multiplied, right? Again, just to understand this incompletely, try to understand what we're doing is, you can see, right, this function over here, right? Because JavaScript allows a function to be passed as an argument to another function, I have the liberty to provide any function I want, feel like, right? It's just that it should be matching to the logic which I've written here, right? It should be a function which accepts two inputs. Whether, and you can see I have four such functions here. Even sum accepts two input, minus accepts two input, divide also accepts two input, multiply also accepts two inputs. But the internal logic of all four methods is different, right? Right? And this is what is helping me, right? With this concept, using this concept, I'm able to write such a logic. I can now, I can just call the same method again and again, but making sure I'm providing with the right operation I want to perform, right? Does everyone understand this part and seeing the power of it, like how passing a function as an argument helps you? Any query anyone has on this part? No, right? Imagine if I ask you to do the same thing in Java, right? You will have to do what? You will have to write all these logics, right? A plus B, A minus B, A divide B, A into B, over in the functions body only, right? And maybe you would accept a parameter which is of string type and you will say operation, right? And now someone will make a call and you will say, okay, do a minus. So now you will have if else blocks there, right? And if someone received minus, then it will do the minus operation, right? If someone received sum, they will do the sum part, right? So there you can't pass a function, rather every logic would be residing here only. But you can see I'm avoiding all that logic here. I'm keeping some isolated functions outside, right? And whenever I feel like I need to provide this, I'm using them. Okay, right? Okay, I hope since okay, I hope this is clear, right? And no one has query. Yeah. Okay. Okay, great, right? Okay. So what did we learn? We learned about two things till now, right? We learned about that you can assign a function to a variable, right? Which is the case of, I mean, the anonymous function or the even in the even in the normal functions also, right? You could do the same stuff, right? We can do that, and even in the third part, right? That is the um, arrow function, right? You can do that. So this is we have already seen yesterday also. Today what we learned was that we can pass a function as an argument to another function. Okay, now coming to the third part. that you can return a function from a function. Okay. Again, I'm sure this could be a mind twister if you're seeing it for the first time, but these are the three things which we have to really understand. Okay. So two things are done. Let's get to the third part now. And again, I'm not taking any complex examples. These are very simple examples, right? I'm just doing a normal calculation, right? But when you see this in a scale of a automation framework, there you start thinking, okay, what crazy things are happening. But try to understand. If you understand these concepts, right, small concepts, everything will start making a lot of sense. Okay, and that is where the real JavaScript developer will feel like, right, because the person would have worked on the ground and they know all the rules around it. Okay, great. So let's move ahead. So what I'll do now is let me comment this out. This is the B part, right? So let me comment this out and we'll start working on the third part, which is the return a function from a function. Okay. Yes. So return a function, right? Okay. Let me think about what use case I can tell you about this. Okay. Okay. I am not recollecting what use case should I do, but I can still show you like how it works, right? So let's see this here, right? What I'll do here is let me get a function. Okay. Let me get a function. Function. Let's say output names. Okay. Let's say output names. Okay. And sorry, not this way. I can take any inputs. I can leave any input, right? Afford it's up to me, right? Whether I want to take inputs or not. If you want, you can pass on the input, right? So again, right? I'm just leaving on to you in this field. So now what I'm doing here is I can do some logic here, right? Whatever I feel like. But let's directly come to the point, right? I'm saying you can return something from it. So we know in a function you can return something like this, right? I can say return 5, something like this, or I could say return true also, right? And how do you collect all this? You say this way, right? You will say const, let's say const, and you will say result equals to what? Tell me, please tell me, help me to complete this logic. What should I write here? I want to call this method here, and whatever result I will get, I want to store in this variable. So what should I write here?
Output names
And what?
and parentheses.
Empty parentheses, right?
Yes,
Like this. And this will, so result will hold what? It will hold the
Boolean value. True.
this, in this case, true, right? If I give 5 here, what this will hold? Okay. If I give 5 here, what this will hold?
5.
5, right? Let me also print this actually. Console.log output is the result. Okay, and okay, fine. Okay, let me just run this also. Let's just see. You can see, right? Output is 5. If I give true, it says true, right? It says true. Output is true. If I want to give a string, let's say Akhil, and I save this and run it, it will say output is Akhil, right? So we saw numbers, booleans, strings, right? It can do all of this. Let's do some, okay, let's do an array, right? Array also you can return, right? So how do you create array? You create array like this, right? Even I am forget the syntax. Just a second. Java and JavaScript, man. This is okay, yeah, like this way, right? Yeah, you do it this way. So you will just say this thing, and let's say I will say Akhil. I can pass whatever variables I feel like, right? Because array accepts any it's unlike Java, right? In JavaScript, you can create an array which can hold any type of data type. So I can provide true and false also, right? So if I want to return this, I can return, right? And you can see it will not complain. See, right? Printed all this. Okay. Objects we have not talked about, so I will not show it. But yeah, you can return that object also. Now coming to the main part, that you can return a function. So what I will do is I'll say function. Again, all three kind of functions can be written. Okay, so let's show one of them. Let's say in sum, I'll say a comma b, right? And I will write here. Okay, let's say let c equals to a plus b, and I can say console.log uh, uh, sum result is c, right? And if I call this, what do you think I will get in return here? If I print this line, what would be my output? Anyone? I told you the rule in JavaScript.
Undefined.
Undefined. Okay, undefined. Okay, let me write it first. Undefined. Any other answer? Anyone else? So first of all, the question whether it's whether it is logical. Yes, it is logical, and I think it should work, right? We will check after running this, but I think this should work. Okay. So there should not be a question like whether it will work or not, but just tell me what output will I see as here, right? So it should say output is undefined. Over.
5.
It will print the sum result is.
Output is some
Let me
result.
write. This is a very interesting thing. Okay, just a second, right? Let me just write here. So one of the options someone gave undefined. Someone said it will print some result is, right. Some result is. So what after this should print? The entire like this only.
No, but we are not providing any value, so
Tell me then.
I think it will the sum result is undefined, like that maybe.
Okay, you're saying some result in undefined. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Someone
It
think
will print output is some result is undefined, I think.
output is some result is undefined. This one, right? What she just said, right?
Yeah, we're also concatenated with this
Output is okay. Yeah, yeah. Let me write it here. Output is
Sure.
right. So this is what it should print, right? Okay. Anyone else wants to give it a try? No. Okay. Tell me one thing. Yesterday we just talked about this one also, right? I showed you one of the function. Let's say if I say function, let me write some here, right? Some. Let's leave it as is, and uh, let it be this one, right? And I'm saying console.log sum. If I do this yesterday, right? When I was doing this, what output were you getting here? If I do it this way,
Function.
you were getting function, right?
Yes.
You were getting function. So why don't you think it will give function here as an output?
Okay, we are returning the whole function.
Right?
Return a function. Yeah.
So
Right.
third option becomes function, right? So it should be something like this, I believe. It should say I don't know, remember the package, but it should say function. Let's see, right? But it will say function and it will say sum. I think this is the name, right? Which I gave.
Yes.
Something like this, right? I
Hmm.
don't know. Like let's try, right? Even I'm trying it. I'm not tried and tested this earlier, but let's try, right?
I think function in caps.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember whether it's a small or not, but the concept, right? You're talking about this part only, right? It should be function only, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's try this and see what do we get. Clean this up. Oh, it printed everything, right? Okay, great. It printed everything. It's not this one. It is printing everything. Okay. Okay, there must be a rule for this. Okay, which I don't remember right now. Okay, I will tell you, right? But you can see, right? It is not printing undefined and it is not printing this. Okay, first of all, this, right? Okay, why it printed this? Okay, okay, now I understood. Okay, if I do this part, see here. If I don't do this, and I will say result, right? Let's say result here. If I do this, and if I run this, right, let's see what do we get. Function sum. Okay, this is giving function sum. But when I was doing this part, when I do this, it gives that entire function, right? Can someone explain me why am I getting this result, if I do this way, let me just copy paste this here, right? Result, right? What was this result, right? When I do this thing, right, I get output as what? As this, right? I get this output, and when I do this, right, it gives me an output like this. Let me just run it again just to show you. So, right, I'm getting an output like this. Let me copy this and bring it here. So does anyone know why do I get this output here like this?
Is it converting the entire function to string? Because we are passing string literal.
Absolutely correct. Right? That is what it is doing. It is converting that function body into a normal string, like how it should look like. Right? So this is what you got, right? Although if you use as is, right, JavaScript comes to know, okay, this is a function, right? So it treats like this. But here the coercion, right? You remember the concept of coercion I told you? Automatic conversion of data type into another data type. Function, right, is a data type, right? I told you it's a type of, it's an object type of data type, right, in JavaScript. But what is happening is you are adding it, like you're using it with strings, so there's a conversion which is happening. And here, right, instead of saying output is this, it converts the entire output of this into a string, right, like this. So it is printing all this. Okay, I'm sure you, it's not like it's like it is catching over here, but try to understand from all the concepts which you have learned till now. Okay, here the conversion is happening, but again, that was not my point of discussion here. My point here was that you can return a function from a function, and I hope you are agreeing that this is what is happening. Okay, but the next thing, but the extra thing which you learned was that if you use a function and you're returning it like this, right, and you concatenate with this, what happens is instead of saying like this, right, it converts a function, entire function, into a string and then displays it. Yeah, yeah, Harsh, please ask your query.
So can we return the value of some if we pass the parameters in output names like a comma b, like
That
2
is the
comma
next.
3? So
Yes, yes, yes. That is the next thing which I'm not over there, not over there, right? Again, but please hold on to that thought. That is the next part which I have to explain now. Okay, if that is your query, I'm coming to that part. Okay, but let's first understand this. Do we understand this part? That this is feasible in JavaScript, that you can return a function from a function. I just showed you that. Everyone sees it, right, and agree that this is what you can do.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay, now let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing. Now, coming to the part which Harsh was mentioning. Now, try to understand what is the, I mean, what would be my objective, right, of doing something like this, returning a function from a function. I'm getting, it's like that I'm getting the entire function, but am I really using it? I'm not using it, right? I would have used it if somehow I was able to pass a and b value to it, right? Right? Agree, everyone? That is the purpose of the function, that you can call that function. You're not doing it right now. Agree? At least in this context, you're not doing it. So what we'll do now is, okay, now tell me what did we receive here, right? Now Harsh, coming to a question, right? Now let's say I want to really call this function. So where should I provide a value? Tell me.
I mean, like we have not defined any parameters in output names. Maybe in the
So I mean,
sum.
earlier you were saying something like this, right? That Akhil, can we do this, right?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
you understood the point that since you're not
Yes, sir.
in the function call, right? You're not in the function declaration. You're not accepting an input. So this does not have any meaning, right?
Yes, sir.
Because you're not if you would have done a and b here, right, like if you would have done this, then it still makes sense that you what you're trying to do here, right? Okay, but again, in that way also, right, I don't think it will be called. I don't think it will be called because you're not calling the function, it's the definition of the function. Let's try this. Okay, let's try this. Let's see what happens. So if you think that it should print 5, right, or it should say some result is 5, output is some result is 5. If you think this way, I think that is not the correct understanding. Let's run it. You see, you did not get that. Why you did not got that? Tell me now, Harsh. I'm sure you might understand from this behavior also? Why you did not got, let's say you were expecting 5, or let's say some result is 5 to be printed. Were you expecting this?
Because like no sir, I was expecting like 5, but maybe the scoping of like A and B, like there's maybe some scoping concept
No.
here.
Tell me, what are we doing here? Is it function declaration or is it like function calling? Are you invoking a
Like,
function here?
no, declaring a function.
You are declaring a function, right? When does the function evaluates? Only when you
When we
call that.
call it, yeah.
When you call it. Are you calling it here? You're
No
not
sir.
calling it, right? So what is happening here is this A and B, right, does not have any impact on this part, right? It's like you're defining a new function altogether, right? It's not like that A and B will go there, right? No. If you do something like this, let me do this part. If you would have done something like this, let's say you would have said const, let's say func1, right? It equals to this, right? You would have done this, right? And then you do something like this. Func1 a comma b. Now what you were thinking will make sense. You understand this part,
Understood. Yes sir.
right? It will now make sense. That here, now what it will do, it will go and try to find a function, right? Because you're calling a function here, you're not defining a function. You're calling a function. I told you in the beginning of our discussion itself that when we talk about function, there are two different parts. One is defining a function, second is calling a function. When you write something like this, right, you are defining a function with the body of it, the arguments it accepts, the name of it, and all that, right? It does not mean that you're calling that function. If you want to call this function, you will have to do something like this, right? If you would have done this way, right? Let's say if you don't do this, at least you will have to do something like this somewhere, right? Right? Now this will get
Yes sir.
called and output will be stored here, right? And you are returning a value. So what you will get? You will still not get anything, right? Because you're not returning anything. But it will still print some result is 5,
Yes sir.
right? Okay. A lot of people are silent today. Okay, no worries, right? See, let me run this. Okay. I don't want to complicate things, but just understand this part. If I say output names 2, 3, you receive what? 2, 3, 2, and you're passing 2, 3 here. So 2, 3 will go there. It will be 5, and you're printing 5, and you're not returning anything, right? You're not returning anything from this function. So what will this return? Undefined, right? Once this returns undefined, so the output name function is returning you what? Undefined. So the undefined gets stored in the result, and you will see output is undefined. So you will see two outputs. Some result is 5, and output is undefined. Let's see. Please,
I understood the concept, yes.
right,
Yeah, understood sir.
right. Okay, I'm sure like not everyone understood this. So again, the only first, the only choice I think you have is please reverse this recording, right? Once this gets available today, and practice this, right, line by line. Okay, practice this line by line. Okay, and categorize into 3 sections, right? As I said, store it like a variable, pass it as an argument, and third, return it as a function. Okay, and then everything will make sense. So again, let me do one thing. Let me remove all this. Let's be very. Let's keep things simple. I'm returning a function from here. So I hope you now everyone understand this is not calling a function. You're just defining a function. Okay. Now, if you would see this, what I'm doing here is you're saying A and B, right? But it does not have any impact, right? Because this is defining a function. Let me remove this from here. Let me remove it from here. Now, not Hirsch, but anyone else who understand this, tell me. Now I still want to call this function sum. Can someone tell me how can I call this sum function now? Does anyone know this? What line of code should I write so that Okay, first of all, also tell me what does result hold? If I am asking what does result hold, tell me. Result is pointing to what?
Function or some function.
Something like this, right? So you
Mhm.
can think like it is like this, right?
Yes.
Right, because this is what you're returning from this function. So whatever you're passing, right, it is gets stored to this variable, right?
Yes.
So can't I do something like this?
Um, right.
I can do this, right?
think I think it's the outer function. So
It is.
also we have one function that is outer function, and there is inside that another function, right? So do we take two parentheses? It's like result, first parenthesis, then second parenthesis,
Let me
A
make
comma B.
let me make it simple. Let me make it simple. Let's do this way. If I do this, then tell me. If I do it this way, A comma B, do you understand it better? I think I don't want to confuse people, but yeah. Do you understand this in a better way? If I do this right, what are you receiving here? You are somehow receiving like this only, right? Okay, okay, just a second. Sorry, just a second. Let me do this way. Constant func1 equals to this, and it should be function, right? Everyone. So what I'll do, what I'm saying is, I'm returning fn1 here. Okay, I'm reading fn1 here. So you can see, right? It's like I'm returning this only. So, right, I can do it this way, right? So if I'm doing it this way, so what is this holding now? This is holding this part, right? Like this. This is what? This is what type of function? What have we learned about this? This is function declaration or anonymous function.
Expression, anonymous function.
Anonymous
It's an
function.
anonymous function, right?
Anonymous.
So how do you call an anonymous function? You use the variable, right, where you're using it and pass on the input side like this, right? And you can call the function. Agree or not agree, right?
Agree.
Right? Okay. See again, right? Try to understand, try to play with all three methods which we discussed yesterday, and try to fit all three in all the three scenarios which we are discussing today, right? Assigning a function into a variable, do it with all three, right? So this is an assignment for everyone, right? Only then you will understand this. Okay, let me write it here. Let me clean this up. This is an assignment for everyone, and and tomorrow I don't mind if we have to again spend a time to discuss only this part again. Okay, so please come up with your findings and answers, right? I would like to discuss each one of you about it. Okay, and please try not to miss the class. If you practice only, then it will start making sense. And again, I'm saying this is the basic building block of the language. If you understand all this, then you will be able to move ahead, right? And understand the callbacks. We have not discussed about callbacks yet, right? And we have not discussed about asynchronous operation, which is the another thing here, right? But again, try to understand. If you understand what we are discussing yesterday and today, right? Mark my words, this is what the JavaScript is all about. Okay, right? So you have to just focus on these 2 days, yesterday and today. So I'm writing this here. So what you have to do is you have to use the first rule, which is assign a function to a variable, right? So how will you do it? You will do it for all three cases, right? You will do it for function declaration, create a function using this concept and assign it to a variable. Then you will do it for function expression using the anonymous function. And then you will also do for the third thing, which is your arrow function, right? Arrow functions, which is a special form of function expression, or I should say arrow function. Oh, this anonymous function only. Let me write the function name, right? Anonymous function. So try this, right? This concept using all three functions. Create functions with these three types and try to assign it to a variable and try to consume that variable, right? Consume that variable. When I say consume that variable, what does it mean? Call that function using that variable. Okay, consume that variable means call the functions using that variable. If you have a question, please rewatch those recordings and you will get the answer, because I have done all of this yesterday. The second part is you have to do what? Pass a function as an argument to another function. Okay, and for this also you have to do all three, right? All three here, right? And once you will pass them as functions, right, as an argument to another function, you have to make sure that you have to call the function, right, to which you are passing them as an argument. So, right, I hope you understand the point, right? To call those functions, right? And you have to observe the behavior, what is happening. And a third part is return function from a function. Return function from a function. And again, you will return a function of these three types, right? And observe the behavior. And once you receive the function, you have to even call those functions. Okay, call those functions. This is where the learning is all about, right? And this is where the hidden understanding is required to be done. Okay, Aparna, you want to say something? Okay. Okay, right. So again, right, I'm seriously saying, right, please go back and practice, right, all these three concepts using all three different types of functions. And right, and in all the cases, try to call those functions and see the behavior. You will yourself understand like how you have to call them and how you have to use them. Okay, and for any reference, you can check the video. Coming back to our point, did I showed you how to call them? I think I did, right, by doing this part. So if I again collapse this into the format, right, which I was writing in the first place, let me remove all this, right? Let me remove all this. So I was writing a function like this, right? And I was not doing this part, and I was doing what? I was saying output names, right? And I was calling this. This was returning this. When I call this, it returns me this value. So it is like you're assigning this output to result. And now I can call this, right? If I do this right, result, I'm not returning here, right? So let me return also, return. See. So it will return the calculated value. It will be returned from this function. It will be assigned to result. I mean, result is receiving this, right? So result is now is pointing to this function here, right? And you're calling the function 2, 3, right? So what I'll do is I'll just say console.log. Our result is okay, what am I missing? Yeah, bracket. Okay, temp, that tick mark. Okay, right. So let's run this and see. So this is what I really wanted to show you, right? That you can do something like this. Okay, let's run it again. Result is 5, right? I can do it for all three cases. This is what anonymous function, right? I can do it with some. You can see the same behavior will happen. No difference. Result is 5. If I do it with anonymous function, that arrow function, see the same thing will happen here also. Okay. But I want you to realize this, right? That what is happening. Okay. Try to do all the permutation combination which I just showed you, and it will start making a lot of sense. But it will only come once you practice. If you have any queries now, please ask. No queries?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. I will not cover anything else today, right? I think this is too much for today. I would request you to please go back and practice this. One last thing, right? We are discussing all 3 points in the context of when I was saying that JavaScript supports higher order functions, right? And I showed you all three things, right? That what higher order functions means, any language which supports a function to be assigned to a variable. Second, pass it as an argument. And third, to return a function as a return thing, right? From a function. If our language supports all this, we call those functions as higher order functions. Okay, there is another terminology for this, right, in JavaScript, because JavaScript supports all these three things, right? So what we also say is that the functions in JavaScript are also called like first class citizens. Okay, just a terminology which you should be aware. Someone can ask you in the interview, what are first class what is the first class or citizens in the JavaScript language? So the answer is functions. Okay, or someone can ask you, what is the first class functions? So when someone says what are first class functions, you have to explain this only, that it's a higher order function concept, right? Where you can have all the, where JavaScript provides you to do all the three things, right? Which I just mentioned. Okay. And I also told you about all three different types of functions. So that's again a very important interview question, right? And but again, right? Again, my motive is not to just make mug up things, right, over here. I want you to understand this, right? Like how things are working, right? I just showed you how things are working. Just go and practice it, and it will make a lot of sense. And please do that, right? Okay. I don't have anything else to say. If no other query, let's wrap it up for today, and we'll meet tomorrow. Okay, but tomorrow we'll start from here only. I want to see like who all came back with the practice part. Okay, I hope everyone will do it, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, Akhil will do and come back.
Yes, I can. We'll do it.
Right? Please try to do it, right? Because we have to move ahead, and I want you to be all to be good on this, right? And trust me, this is the like backbone of JavaScript, right? And it will really help you, and it will solve a lot of questions, curious questions, right, which you will have about JavaScript. Someone gives you a code, right, and says, okay, understand this. Till now you might not be able to understand this, right? But after doing all the exercises, you'll be able to understand that part, right? And it's very impressive, right? I can really tell you it's very impressive, because not a lot of people knows about this. If you understand all this, you would be like in very top 3-4% of the people who knows about JavaScript in depth. Okay, so please practice it, and let's meet tomorrow. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, good night, right? Let's meet tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thank you, Akhil.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Akhil.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.